Well, we're turning our attention now to some specifics about the permanent voter cards. We'll tell you why. Mr. Benjamin Semola joins us now. He's consultant systems engineer. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Well, yesterday we did talk about, sister program about the permanent voter cards, because we've had a guest who had been here actually and talked about him having 2 PVCs, but he was only able to collect 1. Officials in the INEC did not give him the second one, but he raised questions about it. But now we've had people who have sent us images of themselves through our eyewitness platform that they actually have 2 permanent voter cards given to them by officials of INEC. And now we also have one on our hands now, one person having 2 voter cards. Although we raised it to INEC on the program as well, but they said no, that they're not sure. You can't use it to vote even if you have 2. Give us your experience. What do you think of this?
Maybe we should start by giving kudos to INEC for listening to your program and then trying to act. Because I remember in the last poll, that was in 2011, we all said it here that there are other means of complaints, and they came up with this, their short code systems. We said it here, it should be possible for you to migrate from one place to the which we didn't have in the last election. They put all of that in place. And now we also said it that we shouldn't be holding paper temporary cards. For example, they've come up with the permanent voter cards. And we've said, look, we should go beyond. I remember my last session here, I was shouting, I said, if you tell me I'm going to thumb print and I'm able to have my data call up, that will mean so much to experts. We'll know what I've gone at the background. But the current problem we're having, I don't think INEC can conveniently deny they are not knowing that there are double issuance of these permanent voter cards. Let me give you a scenario that came up on Monday. A lady called in, and a guy, and said he got to the polling unit of the local government where he was to pick up the permanent voter card, and he was told that the entire data for that environment was corrupted, and that they have to come back, and they have to do a new registration, and then come last Tuesday, that's this week, to pick up the cards. When they got there on Tuesday in Lagos here, they were now surprised that they said the cards were ready, and they were given the cards. You know, their mindset was that, we registered just last week, we shouldn't have it now. They now say, the one you have now is for the, so to say, corrupted data, and I should come in on Thursday, yesterday, to pick up another PVC for the new registration that was done last week. Meaning then that everybody in that environment now have 2 PVCs. You must have seen pictures on social media, and the ones you even showcased yesterday, the ones you have all around you. You know, people now have situation where they even get to the ad hoc staff and they say, sorry, I can see 2 of your cards. Some of them, discretionary, will give you 1. Others will just say you can have the 2. We are not talking of cloned cards in this case. We are talking of cards coming from INEC. And I look at it technically. If I am to come up with these cards, what are the things I need? I'm not just talking of the PVC as a plastic. I'm talking of the electronic data that is embedded on this chip, because I'm going to use this card for verification. Now, you've collected my data over a period of 4 years and before, and you gave me a temporary card. You said I should come verifying again, and then you took my fingerprint, you took my bio data, you summed that up, and then you put it on a particular database from where you are now printing out the content on these cards. I was shocked and alarmed when I heard it from the chairman of INEC that, look, our database is not online. And beyond, I don't have a problem with the database not being online. And that beyond the database for INEC not being online, you have silos of databases. And the implication of that is that if you're in Kosofe, or if you're in Anambra, or if you're in K2, or if you're in Alimosho, you have your data locally resident on certain devices. And that will mean that because they are trying to forestall a situation whereby you leave a particular polling unit to go and have a double voting or registration in another place. But technically, I can then, of course, have this card generated from the data from a particular local site and I can't reproduce that because I don't know, I'm not privy to know what is going on right inside their zonal offices. I can either by error, just looking at the example I just cited now, that, oh, we had a corrupted data, so let's reprint, without even the INEC office in Abuja or any form of flag in the IT department that they know that people are having this.
Because it's not centralized.
Because it's not centralized. And, you know, the implication of that also is this. The data that have been transferred on these cards, you still have them now. They will move them, because I heard it loud and clear that they will be moved to those card readers. So the data are actually going to be transferred to the card readers. And if the data on the card reader and the one I also have on my PVC is the same, the card reader is not going to flag any double entry.
So you mean they can vote twice?
Technically, it may be possible.
But Kaidedo yesterday, CPS or INEC chairman was saying, look, that is thumbprint reading. So the card readers will be checking for your thumbprint. And so thumbprints are unique to individuals. To that extent, what do you think?
You know, you can only look at a wrong data input when the source of cross-checking that data, that's the data on the database, that's the device that is housing that data on which you want to verify the end user from, when it is different from what you have locally on that database. I give you this instance. We're in Channel, for example, and if you run a biometric system where your doors, your sensitive areas are on your ID cards, and they are biometric ID cards, if that ID card was generated using the same data source, listen to what I'm saying very clearly, the same data source, and I have 2 ID cards for Chamberlain, for example. If you come in and you want to get into your office and you swap the first card, it's going to just, you know, this is like a mapping system. It's like to check if I have this, can it be superimposed on that, and I have an entity that says yes. Or I have a situation whereby it can be superimposed and I see a flag saying no, denial of entrance. But I'm talking of a situation whereby these data have been transferred to the end user's card from the same database. Are we getting that now?
But INEC is saying that, you know, you have to still validate.
You validate
with your fingerprint.
Yes, your fingerprint has been captured before.
Yes.
And it's inclusive on the data that have been transferred here. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking of a fingerprint of X.
The reason I ask this question is just to be sure, if somebody else, if you're saying that it needs to be validated with that person's fingerprint,
okay.
Is it possible then for somebody else to be able to use, say, the other card of somebody else, for instance?
No, it will not be possible.
It will mean that individual who owns the 2 cards will be the one to vote twice.
Vote, yes, exactly. That's where I'm going. Mm-hmm. That is exactly where I'm going. Now, it may be difficult if I now have a fingerprint, a data for because all these things are captured as small data. If I now have a particular fingerprint that is linked to this card, and then I have another fingerprint that is not linked to this card, then I will have a flag, so there won't be double registration. But in a situation where I now have the same data, the same fingerprint information on the same card and the same individual.
And why won't it give you a red flag? It's because we don't have it centralized, right?
Now, it's not necessarily because you don't even have it centralized. Why? The first question should be, why should we be having multiplicity of these cards? That's it. Can I... we're in a sovereign land where we have international passport and our data. Is it possible for me with the same content to have the same international, to have 2 international passports, for example? Whichever site of the, where you're going to register for your international passport, even when you are offshore and you go to the embassies, you realize that you have a centralized system.
How does the reader works? Because one would have thought that when you swipe, and it gets all of this information down, it tells you that maybe Mr. Semola has just voted. And I get card number 2 with the same data of yours, and I swipe. You still think it can't give us maybe a red flag to show that this individual has just voted twice?
I have not seen or tried the card readers, but I'm saying that it's absurd to find ourselves in a situation whereby what the technology we are trying to employ, where we've started twisting it or using it wrongly. Because it is absurd for you to have channel-style data replicated twice, even on the same. Let's take it that it's even in a localized database. It's absurd. That's what I'm saying. Fine, it's possible that there are measures already incorporated into the card readers such that it won't allow double entry.
Talk about AFIX then, that was used by, the automated fingerprint. They had to use that to get all the double registration out. And now we're getting to see that, because if we say the data on these cards we have right here with us are the same, then it then means that it's either AFIX or something really didn't work pretty well for us to have the same information for the same individual, but duplicated.
I'm even looking at it from the monetary level. That's the monetary gains. Now you are talking of INEC staff that are currently, the ad hoc staff that are currently selling some of these PVCs. I think we are privy to know that some of these PVCs are on sale. How will I not tell myself that I know that if you've even collected your card and then somebody is coming again to say, come, I need PVCs, and somebody somewhere is also generating the secondary card for which the data is the same and then is selling. The implication is now that, Sulaiman, you may be holding your PVC, another person is also holding Sulaiman's card somewhere.
And when I get there, it might say I've voted.
That's why I'm saying that we've gotten it wrong somewhere.
So does that question the integrity of the register?
I wouldn't want to say question it, because if you look at the register now, you are looking at a show by we've been able to take away the ghost voters. Then we've been able to take away double entries by verifying with the fingerprint before they came up with this.
Yeah.
Now, but where I'm having the problem is this. If, for example, like the card you have with you, same individual, 2 cards. Let's take it that she got to the local government and she collected hers. And then some certain party people going around also to buy cards now paid off the ad hoc staff to say, please, we need cards. Your card, listen, not cloned. That's where I'm going,
So it confers
from same legitimacy
on the cards.
All of the cards. Because we're now saying that the content you have on that card is valid because it's coming from same database. So if I have one and one is sold and the person buying it uses that one before me, mine will be rendered useless.
All right, one more thing before we go, too, because at the back of the cards, there's no caveat, no warning in terms of how you handle the cards. Is there any risk in terms of how you use
that was what I was trying to do this morning. I went all the way to comb. I started yesterday. I read through the INEC website, voter education and all that, and I couldn't see a place where INEC actually stipulated how you should handle these strip cards. Because you have a magnetic strip right behind this card that is subject to magnetic flux. Now, for example, if I keep this card and I move it with my mobile phone, and maybe I'm receiving an SMS or I'm having a call coming in, and there is an amplification of the magnetic flux around this card, it could damage the content on this card. That is to say that if I keep this card together with my mobile phone in the same pocket, I'm subjecting it to unfavorable environment. Beyond, because Nigerians are just after the physicality. Is it bent? Is it broken? But you've forgotten that you could have that feel because it is electronic.
I think it would be heartbroken for some of my Twitter friends who are saying, confidently displaying their PVCs. If they put it on their phones, who knows what might happen to it on that day if they're not going to be able to use it. But since they've not, maybe we'll find out from INEC if they've been able to have a mock session and demonstrate and practice all of this. But that may be for
nice
another
to
day.
See a mock session, at least on set. I think that some of us have our cards.
We have always clamored for that.
We'll keep trying to get the chairman
let's
to
have a mock
respond to
session.
this. But this is where we end the segment. Unfortunately, there's more to say, but we have to thank you for coming out this morning. Mr. Benjamin Semola is a consultant systems engineer. We'll be back after the break. Join us again.